Welcome, brother. Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports Plus, dude. Powered by Fairway Food Stores. We got Andy, we got Jack, and we got Peter. And we're here on April the 16th, brother. Jack Knowlton, how's life going?
Life is going pretty smooth. Pretty busy. We've had some exciting spring action, Andy.
We've had a spring stampede, brother. And as long as you're eating your vitamins and saying your prayers, you can watch Southeast Iowa Union's Prep Sports Plus every Thursday. We're going to talk a little soccer and track. We're going to talk soccer first, Jack, where there was some things that happened last night.
Yeah.
It was not chill. There were some not chill things that
No,
happened
not
last night.
chill. No,
Uh
no. Some tornadic things.
some tornadic activity. Waco and Danville, New London, sitting there playing some boys soccer, and a tornado drops almost right on them. I mean, not really dropped; it kind of developed. You can see the videos all over. Hopefully, we'll get permission for some pictures. Fun fact: Mr. Jack Knowlton was supposed to be on his way to that game, and then we decided because I was in a tornado warning at Fairfield that oh hey, they're probably not gonna be able to finish that game. You might as well not risk it. And then it's a good thing he didn't risk it, Jack. You could have been scooped up.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, it's good. It does not appear anyone, at least at the soccer game, was hurt. But yeah, it made for some wild images and videos circulating around on Facebook for those who was there. Yeah, I had a bunch of events I was at on Monday, and so was kind of working on those, and was going to maybe go catch the second half. And it was mostly I was even looking at the radar, and I thought it was going to be north of Wayland, but I was like, well, it might hit the road. I don't want to be driving, all this. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
yeah. And then it ended up kind of forming, it seemed like right around the field. And so they had a whole bunch of damage. And yeah, we'll have to see what we can learn. Obviously, like, peek behind the curtain, we record the pod on Wednesday, and it just happened Tuesday night. So we don't even know a ton just yet. But yeah, it was a 3-1 win for Waco. We are not sure when or at what point the game was stopped, but that was the score, and that appears to be the final score. So, in terms of the on pitch, if for those wondering, before the pitch was invaded by debris from a little tornado, that was the score. So, but yeah, good. I saw a Facebook comment. There was, I think, an injured Waco player that someone said, a Danville, New London player like picked him up and helped him off the field, get him to safety, which is always good stuff. If you want to hear, it
Yes.
was apparently a very great team effort to make sure everyone was able to scatter over to somewhere and get out of the elements.
Yeah, and good thing that they had that because it was I mean, the cars, when you go to, Waco soccer or, football, Waco's got pretty good parking right there at the school, and so there's spaces there that people can park at, and so luckily people didn't have to sprint, too crazily. I mean, I'm sure they did, but luckily, they were able to get to safety because that I mean, it looked like it formed 50 yards away from the field. I mean, it looked like it really picked up anyway about just off the field. Yeah, congrats on the seemed like a weather shortened win by Waco. We were talking about that game, not predicting any tornadoes, but saying that it would be a pretty tight one, and it was. We've had a couple of tight soccer games, Mr. Jack. Um I on Monday was at Fairfield versus Mount Pleasant boys soccer. One of our better, like our as far as series go, as far as our teams or Southeast Conference teams, even boys soccer between those two schools usually pretty close. It's very very rare that there's a blowout. They always seem to be pretty tight with each other.
Hmm.
Um, this one went to Mount Pleasant 3-2, and it was a pretty wild one. It was 0-0 up until, actually, I was happy because I was at other games. I was at, spring we run around. By the time I got to the actual game, it was towards the end of the first half. And I was stopping by tennis first, and there hadn't been a goal scored, which is nice for guys like us who want to know all the details. Though I will say this is on Southeast Iowa Video Network, Mount Pleasant Live, so I could have always watched back. But with about 12 seconds left in the final seconds of the first half, Cormac Van Pelt sent a nice little pass right to the foot of Oliver Seamson. There, it was like one of those things where the clock was running out so much you kind of it was almost like, oh, okay, going to halftime 0-0. Seamson squirts through and rockets one into the goal for a 1-0 Fairfield lead at halftime. And then the two teams went back and forth. Asa Rose scored an early one in the second half for Mount Pleasant. Van Pelt scored on a penalty kick shortly after that. That was 4 minutes after Rose's goal. And then 3 minutes after that, Isaiah Lang scored on a header. So there were 3 goals in about 8.5 minutes to make it 2-2. Then there was a little bit of a lull, a lot of chances both ways, but no goals. And then with 11 minutes left, Dylan White, captain of the Mount Pleasant soccer team, it was a cross from Abram Cass that was supposed to find Lang. They do a lot of crosses to Lang. I mean, he can jump so high and he's tall. He can get a head on a lot of those, but it just went over his head. But unfortunately for the Trojan defense, Dylan White was right behind him, and um, not a lot of kids that I'd rather have taken that shot. And he perfectly, settled it down, got a little bit of a better angle, and then knocked it in on the short side. So 3-2 Panther win. Mount Pleasant stays unbeaten, not unbeaten and untied, but unbeaten, and they moved to 2-0 in the SEC. Fairfield had previously beaten Burlington to go to 1-1. So to go to 1-0. Now they're 1-1. So on the boys' side, and there was no boys game for Washington because of rain. So on the boys' side right now, I believe Mount Pleasant and Fort Madison are
There
the
was
only
for
two.
Washington, for the boys. There was no girls Washington
Oh, the
game due to
girls'
the
game
rain.
got postponed.
Yes. The
Oh, I
Demon
see.
Boys, Mr. Andy, drew 1-1 with Burlington on Monday, and it was another
At
late one.
Burlington.
Yep, at Burlington. Yep, the Washington girls game got postponed, so that'll be made up next week. But the boys, Chavi Resendez scored in the 78th minute to tie it at 1. They have made a habit of scoring some late goals. They've had a few. Most of them have been pretty inconsequential because they've already been winning, but this one saved a draw for them. So they are 3-1-1 overall, and they have one tie and one loss now in SEC play. They lost to Fort Madison.
Oh, I see it. So when you go to varsity bound, the SEC or the conference standings don't show ties. Ties just got introduced to Iowa high school soccer. It used to be in conference you played it out with penalty kicks and stuff. And so yeah, so Washington 0-1-1, Burlington 0-1-1, Fairfield 1-1, and then Mount Pleasant and Fort Madison both 2-0. And that's in boys. On the ladies' side, Jack was able to watch the end of the Fairfield Mount Pleasant game, which was not the scheduled end because it ended early for a different reason. Jack, tell me what you saw when you went to Fairfield High School.
Yeah, so I was bouncing around on Monday at some golf, at some track, but in between, I bounced over to Fairfield High School. By the time I got there, there were 36 minutes left on the clock. Fairfield already had a 7-0 lead over the MP Panthers. They scored those 3 goals in just I got to do my math here. Just over 10 minutes, about 15 minutes, and ended the game with a 10-0 win. Big win for Fairfield. Their coach Ian Stabe talked to him afterward, as well as Emma Metcalf, one of their captains, and they haven't won too many conference wins in the last kind of conference games in kind of last 4 seasons here, and so he was really proud of their players sticking it out. It was 4 goals for Metcalf and 4 goals, I believe, for Lexi Mast as well. I just have to
Yep.
check my story. It was okay.
On their
You
box
can
score, they had
confirm
4 for Masses as well.
4 goals for Lexi Mast. Anna McEvan scored, and I believe Verena Gonzalez had the other one for um,
Oh my god.
Fairfield.
I'm seeing Emma Metcalf 4 goals and 5
5
assists.
assists. Yep, she had
Jeez.
9 goal contributions.
Wow.
And then had a very befitting quote that you can read over on the Southeast Iowa Union .com, because she had 4 goals, 5 assists, and then the quote that follows is just it was awesome. We could do it as a team. It wasn't just one person. Even if someone did have 4 or 3 goals, it was a team effort. So
Yeah, nice.
very humble a very humble response to having contributed to 9 of your team's 10 goals in the match. But
Even if
yeah,
one person had 5 assists or 4 goals or whatever.
big time win for Fairfield on the girls' side. And
Um,
then yes, Washington girls postponed. They did not play Burlington on Monday.
that Fairfield, speaking of the soccer rivalry, um, Mount Pleasant had won, I believe, 12 in a row in that series. 2018 was Fairfield's last win. So the way the series goes, MP had won like 10 in a row up until 2014. Then Fairfield won 8 in a row. And then just a year later, MP started that 12-year streak. So it's very streaky between those two schools. And but I remember last year Fairfield kind of had their they had a close game. They lost by 1 goal to Mount Pleasant. It was kind of like, oh, there were a couple games last year. Fairfield girls also against Washington last year. I remember covering a game where you kind of said you kind of saw like, okay, Fairfield soccer is scooting up, maybe rising back up, because for a few years they were a couple rungs down for the other Southeast Iowa Union Golden Triangle teams. Fort Madison also winning the SEC right now in girls soccer, 2-0. 6-0 overall between boys and girls for Fort Madison. Fairfield and Keokuk both 1-1. Mount Pleasant 0-2, and of course Washington's only played the one game, 0-1. And Jack, you know what? If I was just sitting on my couch and I wanted to watch some high school soccer on Thursday, what wonder if there's anywhere I could watch it.
Yeah, you could go over to the Southeast Iowa Video Network. Look at that. Thursday is supposed to be a beautiful day. Shouldn't have any cancellations, but we'll have boys soccer action. Washington and Mount Pleasant. Very compelling game. You just did the girls standings. The boys standings are. It's a very tight race. Washington and Burlington tying, I think, is kind of an important result. Fort Madison's kind of at the top along with MP at 3-0, but they only beat Washington by 1 goal. They were technically outscored in the second half of that game. Mount Pleasant, they do have 2 conference wins, but they are over Keokuk and Fairfield, who are 3-1 themselves. So haven't played Fort Madison or Washington yet. So this will be another good sort of flashpoint for who's kind of gonna maybe be in the mix for that like top 2. I was talking to Neri Salazar after Washington's last game, and he gave me a prediction. He said he thinks the league's going to be very close this year on the boys' side.
Yeah, well, and you can tell, I mean, just the fact that there's been like 5 games already that were like 3 goals or less between the top. Now, on the Keokuk is rebuilding. Keokuk maybe won't isn't quite up to the rung of the other 5, but the other 5, I think, anybody can kind of beat anybody. So, um and then track. So, the Tornado would be a good transition to track, because I was at Fairfield's track meet last night, which started they didn't even get the first race started when there was a lightning delay. It's like, "Ah, crud, we're gonna need to, wait 30 minutes for this lightning delay." And then it turned into a, 1 hour plus tornado warning delay. And producer Peter, I said we got 5 minutes on the Zoom. Don't worry, I got my eyes peeled on it. But I wanted to read off the results from the Trojan relays, team scores, and we had about half the field there, and that includes the first, second. The Southeast Conference actually swept the top 4 spots at this meet. Um, Fairfield controls. They hold home field, 126 points. Mount and then these next 3 here. Mount Pleasant gets second with 95. Keokuk third with 93. Fort Madison fourth with 90. So they're all close. And then Pekin and Van Buren get fifth and sixth, respectively. So That was a pretty competitive track meet over there. If you want to read all the winner chicken dinners, um, you can read on the Southeast Iowa Union on Thursday, or you can just go to I mean, it is Thursday if you're watching this, but you can also go to the website on Wednesday night if you've hacked into our stream and are watching this live. Then you can do that. Jack, if you want to, did you even get to see any track this last week?
I did. I saw some on
Ooh.
Monday and last Thursday with the Demon
Oh,
Relays. That was a big track meet over in the Wash, which the Washington girls and Mid Prairie boys won. Um, Mid Prairie boys won 7 events. Absolutely swept. They had a really good meet. Great showing for them. A couple of them are close to some Drake Relays qualification on the boys' side. They of course have the stacked cast that we talked about for girls track, and then Washington girls. It felt like they had a top 5 finish in pretty much every event. They did very well. And then just this week on Monday, bounced over to the Waco track meet. The night before the storm hit, the calm before the storm, so to speak. Waco girls won a 3-team meet. They were still very excited. They hadn't won their home meet. I actually did the research and talked with their head coach. Hadn't won their own home meet this decade, Andy.
whoa.
2 of them were canceled. Of course, 2020 and
Yeah, yeah.
2023 was also canceled, but
2020.
they had not won a home meet this decade at Waco High School, so they were able to do that. They were very excited. Even though it was postponed, it was reduced from 8 teams to 3, but yeah, and then on the boys' side, a couple of individual wins for Van Buren County. Lincoln Bainbridge, who is now qualified for the Drake Relays in 2 events, is going to be one of our best boys sprinters. He showed out again for VBC. Showed out over the weekend at the Iowa Events Festival. Has one of the fastest time in the state, I believe, in the 400 thus far, Mr. Bainbridge. And then Josh Anderson for Washington in the 400 wheelchair is now qualified for the Drake Relays.
Number 1 going back. By the way, there's also the historic Penn City Relays last night, Mr. Jack. And we had a double winner in the Union coverage area. Penn City Relays, by the way. For all of you non-Iowa historians, the Penn City is very clearly Fort Madison, Iowa. But your winners last night in the A division, the Mount Pleasant Panthers take it with 139. Washington was 3rd with 107.5. Fairfield 7th with 41. And in the B division, these are all girls, by the way, the Van Buren County Warriors in a absolute battle, 155. Minneapolis had 147 and Davis County 145. So everybody read the paper, dude, to figure out what happened there. And we got to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some golf, brother. And if you don't stick with us, these 50-pound pythons are going to rip you in half like a golf club or tennis racket. I guess golf club would be way easier. Don't go away.
I love helping people. I always wanted to help people. That's what I love the most.
We do a really good job of growing our own, but also we are able to take your skills, adapt them to what we need, or grow them as well.
Our leadership group here, they are actively involved, always supportive of our new ideas and innovation here at the hospital.
Washington County Hospital and Clinics. Apply today.
Introducing Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every meal is a delight. Start your day with our mouthwatering breakfast options and savor flavorful lunches with friends and family. Cap off your day with our delectable dinners. Hy-Vee Market Grill, where every moment is delicious.
In the heart of rural Iowa, where community matters most, the connections we make are made to last. Meet KCTC, your hometown internet, phone, and TV provider. At KCTC, we're not just about technology, we're about people. Our dedicated team are your neighbors, committed to bringing you top-tier services right where you live. We believe in giving back to the community that raised us. Experience the power of a real connection with KCTC. Join us in building a stronger, more connected Southeast Iowa.
Welcome back, brother. Southeast Iowa Union Prep Sports Plus, where the big boys play. We're going to talk a little bit about some swinging sports, tennis, golf. And while we do that, I want you to think about swinging over to Fairway Food Stores, where you will find the meats and the groceries that make your life better. There's no other way to say it, Jack.
Fairway, the Mecca of meats, truly.
The Mecca of meats, the Guggenheim of groceries. And I'll tell you what, you're going to end up like this earless bunny here if you don't only shop at Fairway and nowhere else, except anywhere else that advertises on our show. Great bunny, by the way. Happy Easter, happy belated Easter, and happy late Easter to the people who buy discount candy after Easter, like I do. Jack, I mentioned that I was in Mount Pleasant, Iowa for some soccer. Got a couple of fillings to be filled in. The chocolate hit it just right. On Monday, where Fairfield and Mount Pleasant played, and Mount Pleasant beat Fairfield by 1 in soccer. Guess what? Or Mount Pleasant beat Fairfield by 1 in soccer. And guess what? I'm not sure if I said that right or wrong. In tennis, the same thing happened right across the street, the gravel road, at the tennis court at East Lake Park. The Mount Pleasant Panthers beat the Fairfield Trojans, Jack, 5-4 in what can only be called a clash of the Southeast Conference Titans. The two schools that run things on the tennis court in the Southeast Conference last few years. They battled. They were going at it toe to toe, face to face. And I was there, and it got heated, you know. I thought that coaches Lawrence Iyer and Tyler Rogers were gonna have a wrestling match right there on the court. No, I didn't think that at all. But it was a crazy one, Jack, as Fairfield actually won. What the heck? They messed something up. They messed something up on Varsity Bound. So I'm going to go to my email and read off of that one, because this thing on Varsity Bound says it's 5-4 Mount Pleasant, and there's about 7 Mount Pleasant points that it shows on the thing. So they sometimes, Jack, the tennis results get a little wonky on Varsity Bound. But don't worry, because if there's one thing I know is that when there's a tennis match for either Fairfield or Mount Pleasant, I will always have results waiting in my email, win or lose.
Always. Should I talk about golf while you find this, or are they?
Oh, you could, or I could just look into my sent folder, which the email has been transferred to, because for some reason on Gmail, if you get an email and then you reply to it, it's no longer in your inbox. And thinking. I'm just gonna say some more Hulk Hogan lines while I look this up. Brother, you got me. I don't want to. That doesn't work for me, bro. I only know like 6. I just go.
I'm gonna share some more lines. Shares just the 2 lines.
Peter probably has a couple in his bag. That's probably in his bag.
What if I do golf? Should I take golf?
You golf.
You
golf.
tagging me in? Because
I'll tag you in, brother. But when it comes to the pinfall, the Hulkamaniacs wouldn't accept a Jack Knowlton finish. Definitely not a clean finish, brother.
I'll tell you, I have some exciting golf updates to share, because we had another Southeast Iowa conference. I'm gonna say the Southeast Iowa Super Conference meet. Southeast Conference meet. And it was a fun one, but it had the usual winner, Andy. And that usual winner being the Washington Demons. I should clarify, I was talking about boys golf. Had a little more parity in girls golf.
Well, a lot more parity in girls golf.
But it has been all Washington all season long. And it was once again at their home course, Washington Golf and Country Club. And it was the main man himself, Rajan Roth, won the meet overall with a score of 37. He was actually just last week had his career best. He shot 4 under par over in Fort Madison, a 32. I talked with Colin Stark. He said they believed, he was talking with the old boys golf coach. He said he believed that might be the best 9-hole low score in school history. So
whoa, that's very impressive for as many good golfers, especially lately, to come through there.
Yeah, so big time stuff for Roth. Drew Conrad shot a 39, Ethan Peebler a 40, and Carson Brown a 43. Andrew Myers tied for second. Andrew Myers tied for second, also had a 39 on the day for Fairfield. Archer Cruder a 40, Dane Burkhart 43, Luke Thornton 46. And then for MP, I have to navigate over to the golf app because they don't have it in the golf bound. So you have to go to the golf app to make up for the golf bound.
Oh,
MP,
no.
Brody Engel of 40, Owen Dolph 43, Merrick Lamb 45, and Alec Barton 47. And then the other standout that I want to highlight came back from the Washington Demons. And it was on their JV level, so this doesn't count toward the Demons scoring. But Washington had a JV golfer finish with the second best score of the entire meet. Tate Griner, sophomore for Washington, good basketball player for Washington as well. 38 he finished with to led JV by about 9 or 10 strokes, but finished second overall, was ahead of even Drew Conrad, and is on the JV golf team for Washington. Pretty unbelievable stuff. The Demons loaded. I don't think that JV moniker is going to exist for very long if he keeps shooting scores like that. So good for Tate Griner. Wanted to mention him. It was very confusing, Andy, writing the story last night and looking at the scores on Bound and then adding up the top 4 golfers and saying, wait a minute, that's 154, not 159. And then realizing that Tate Griner is technically a JV golfer for Washington. So I don't believe his score counted for their varsity overall, but certainly will count for the Demons and for him. So very nice score for Mr. Griner.
Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. They said Tate Griner was just a mid-carder, but he showed that he's got championship potential. What do they call the guys who draw he draws the most money? I don't know. I'm losing on my my flow here. But I'm gonna jump into the girls golf. Jack, you mentioned there's more parity in the girls golf. There's ridiculous parity in the girls golf scene right now, because day one, so they've now had 3 SEC meets. Day 1 was won by Fairfield. Day 2, that was in Washington. Fairfield won in Washington. Then they traveled over. That's right. Then they traveled over to Fairfield, where Mount Pleasant and Fort Madison tied for first. And then on Monday night, they went down to Fort Madison. And who won? The Keokuk Chiefs dropped a 198 to win by 13 strokes. So in case you're running out of fingers, Jack, that's 3 meets and 4 team champions. And it has been close 1 through 6 pretty much every time. This last one here, the Keokuk one. So Keokuk 198, Fort Madison 211, Mount Pleasant 216, Fairfield 230, Washington 235, Burlington 279. Now Burlington is a little bit of an outlier because sometimes they don't have enough golfers to score. I wonder if a couple of their golfers maybe do multi-sports, because the Fairfield meet, they didn't have enough to score, so they're kind of out mathematically a little bit out of it there. But everybody else is right in the game here, as you never know what's going to happen in SEC girls golf. Looking over, I don't have the Fairfield scores for the girls right now. I can tell you that Ella Bentler won the other day in Fairfield, the one that the Trojans didn't win as a team. But our top golfer for Mount Pleasant was Sophia Walderback, who shot a 49. Izzy Zillman was pretty close behind her, 54. Lucy West, 56. Kaylin Hundold, 57. Ashlyn Beauchamp, 59. I think Mount Pleasant is kind of, when you math it out, I don't know if they're in first or second to Fort Madison right now. Fairfield would be pretty close there too. But I think their advantage has been depth because they have not won one individually yet. And in fact, they haven't had too many in the top 4 or 5, but their bottom girls are usually right there with their top. Washington had Lucy Sands shoots a 53, Sydney Stratter 59, Cecilia Mitchell 61, Ashlyn Long at 63. Now I did not see the name Avalon Long over there. Which to me says that maybe she wasn't able to golf for one reason or another. That's a big loss for them because sometimes she's always one of their top 2 or 3. So what they do, in case our lovely viewers don't remember, is they go ahead and they squeeze all this together. It's like a regular season to figure out who the champion is. Honestly, the way they do this, usually it's at least down to like 2 by the time they go to their third SEC meet, but it is wide open in girls golf. And Jack, I have discovered the Mount Pleasant Fairfield boys tennis results.
Let's hear them.
I was right to be doubtful of varsity band because they were wrong. And we care about being right. As I was saying, Fairfield lost this thing 5-4. They actually won 4 of the 6 singles matches. Mount Pleasant won the top 2 singles matches. Sawyer Fulton and Max Heater, which are the 2 big returners for Mount Pleasant, won 8-5, 8-1 in the number 1 and 2 matches. And Fairfield took the next 4, including Praneet Ruya at number 3, Aaron Carlson number 4, Kaylin Chang number 5, and Yang Yi Zong on number 6. So they swept the 4 bottom ones, and they just needed 1 doubles to pull out the win. It would have been like 7 wins in a row for Fairfield over Mount Pleasant, because Fairfield has really kind of taken over the conference the last couple of years. They're back-to-back champions. But the Panther doubles teams, Fulton and Heater win 8-3 at number 1. Grayson Walker and Carter Gelling, win 8-2 at number 2, and Charlie Seifert and Matthew Delville win 8-5 in the number 3 matchup. And that's significant for the Panthers because, as I said, there was a soccer game going on right next, so they didn't have one of their top 4 players in Isaiah Lang there. So from what I can see, Burlington was very close with Fairfield the first time out. Fairfield beat them 6-3, and there are a lot of close matches. So it seems like it's Fairfield, Mount Pleasant, and Burlington. It's a triple threat match for the SEC title, brother. And so we're going to see how that plays out. But nice competitiveness at East Lake Park.
Indeed. Do you think Isaiah Lang just spins a wheel for what sport he'll play that day?
I was really hoping that at halftime he would just run over and play a little tennis.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, that's very fun to watch the soccer team, because he's taller and more athletic, how often they try and go for the header. And Mount Pleasant keeper Zach LeBlanc, the wind is always howling at all 3 of our SEC schools that we cover. The wind at East Lake was crazy, going straight at 1 goal. Fairfield had it the first half and Mount Pleasant had it the second. And so in the second half, Zach LeBlanc was booting it downfield. And there were a couple times like Fairfield keeper Henry Swan had to make a jumping save off of a goal kick one of the times because it flew all the way down. And part of that was that Lang is so athletic and tall that he can get to the ball if it's up in the air. And so there was a couple times where they almost headed one in off of the goal kick. But anyway, so a couple good chapters in the Fairfield Mount Pleasant rivalry. Everyone remember to be watching that Mount Pleasant Washington rivalry either in person or on the Southeast Iowa Video Network. And Jack, we're gonna go to commercial. We're gonna say hello to our sponsors. When we come back, we're gonna have a huge announcement that involves our producer Peter Camp. That's called a teaser. Do not go away.
Attention Hy-Vee shoppers, introducing Hy-Vee Perks, your ticket to exclusive savings and rewards. Access exclusive perks, prices, earn gas discounts, and unlock special deals. All this for free. Join Hy-Vee Perks today and start saving.
At Seafirst Credit Union, we're all about making connections, like how we connect you with the flexible financing you need to install that all-season room or remodel your kitchen with a home equity line of credit. Connect with Seafirst today and see why together is better.
Bring the kids and share the memories at the 2026 Midwest Old Threshers Reunion. Experience the sights, sounds, and traditions of steam engines, antique cars and trucks, tractors, and more. First visit or a family tradition. Enjoy home-style food, the excitement of an Old West shootout, and nightly entertainment. For generations, this is where memories are made. Celebrate history and make new memories at the Midwest Old Threshers Reunion, September 3rd through 7th in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Visit oldthreshers.com for more details.
Hello, it's your old pal Andy Krutzinger of the Southeast Iowa Union. Are you a fan of the Little River Band? Probably not, but if you are, big news for you next week on Southeast Iowa Union Plus, Prep Sports Plus. Jack, we're gonna have a special singer singing the Little River Band's hit song, "Lonesome Loser." And who will that man be, Jack?
That man will be super producer Peter Camp. Are you excited, super producer Peter Camp?
Yes, this is based on the March Madness bracket challenge punishment. The loser of the three of us in the challenge had to sing a karaoke song from the overall winner. I lost, so I will now be singing Lonesome Loser by the Little River Band next week.
We couldn't get the song from the winner. Shout out to Kurt Watson, who was second place, came in and stepped up with that backup song. Pretty catchy. I listened to about 4 seconds of it while I was in the tornado warning. Jack, do you have any parting words for our people?
Get ready to be serenaded.
Get ready to rumble next week.
Grab some Fairway. Grab some snacks from your local Fairway. Sit down.
I don't know if Fairway sells earmuffs, but you might want to buy those too, because
Fairway sells everything you can dream of, including a big screen TV to watch Peter.
That's right.
Do his singing.
That's right. I always love to buy my big screen TVs right from the halls of Fairway.
For the record, Fairway, I do not believe sells big screen TVs, but they are a great sponsor and a glorious grocery store.
If they did, they actually couldn't, because if they did, they'd be so big, so clear, and so loud that there would be noise complaints in everybody's house.
Right.
So
exactly.
That's that reason that they can't do that. That's it. That's it, people. We're done with Prep Sports Plus. Please watch the streams if you're not at the soccer games. Share this with your friends. And when will we see him, Jack?
We will see you all next week. Thanks, everybody.